welcome to Cheap Joe's Art Stuff. My name is Julie, and today we want to welcome you to our second edition of an ongoing series that we call ArtSpeak. This is where we're introducing you to employee artists of Cheap Joe's, so you can kind of get to know some of them and also about their work and their experience. And today we want to introduce you to Amanda, who is the manager of the Boone retail store, and wanted to let you know about all the wonderful, cool things that Amanda does, because she's awesome. And so you get to know her a little bit, and a little bit later on, she's going to be walking me through some of the techniques that she uses and some of her favorite materials, and I'm going to fake like I am keeping up, because she's going to lap me, I know, but anyway, we wanted to introduce you to Amanda here, so welcome. Yay, golf clap. Yeah.
I'm super awkward, but fun, so.
Hey, I think that should be on the door at the front.
Yeah, no.
We're super awkward, but it's fun. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you have been at Cheap Joe's for quite a while now.
Since November 2011, so that's the math. It'll be 8 years.
Coming up, yeah.
So 7.5.
Wow, all right. So you are North Carolina born?
Yes.
You are a native person?
A native person of North Carolina, yes. My whole life, mostly Western North Carolina.
Yeah, so
pretty much.
Grown up in the mountains and all that kind of stuff.
Flatland weirds me out.
Does it? Well, I mean, I guess if you grew up here, then that would.
How do you live here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you were App State Mountaineer, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Never went to a football game.
I think I went to 3.
My final semester there was when they started winning games, and it was awful because I couldn't get to the art building. So.
Well, yeah, it's in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and when I went there, they were so terrible that, you went there as like, it was mostly like a hazing ritual, like a good football game. It's like, let's go stand out in the cold and get body slammed, this is just, it wasn't a good time. Not like it is now, it's big deal. But, so you went to App, what was the choice behind that?
It was close. I already had some credits there because my high school did like a program with App State. Mm-hmm. So, I don't want to get too far away from my mom, but I also knew it had a pretty good art department, so I just came up here. It was between Boone and Asheville, and I ended up in Boone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the department was bigger. I had a BFA and not just a BA. I think Asheville at the time just had a Bachelor of Arts.
Mm-hmm. And so your degree area was?
Bachelor of Fine Arts and Studio Art with a concentration in painting. Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, my fine art was metalsmithing and alloys. Like, it wasn't drawing or painting or any of that stuff.
That's awesome, though.
Well, yeah, well.
I took one metalsmithing class and had a lot of fun and wished I'd had time to take more. But.
Yeah, I loved it, and a whole bunch of my good buddies were in that area, but like, this wasn't in the cards, I think. That was my propensity for burning myself.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, what was the path that led you to Cheap Joe's? Was it just a...
I worked at a comic book store for about 5 years, and was super broke the whole time, but it was fun, so it was kind of, okay. And then ended up losing a few roommates, needed a more grown-up job, and at about that time, someone who was full-time in the outlet store left. So Billy, who I was friends with, was like, you should apply. So I did.
And that's how you know one of our graphics people, Aaron, right?
Yes, from the comic book store.
Yeah. So we have a lot of like comic book store people here now, since the comic store is no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
There's
sad.
a few that have popped up in Boone. Yeah. So that's exciting.
Well, I mean, I can definitely see the comic book influence.
Yeah.
But what are some of your other influences that you feel like are things that inspire you?
I had a weird start with art stuff because my dad was an artist. So I remember like looking at a book full of Salvador Dali's paintings when I was like 9, which will really just change your world. Because it's a lot of strange, weird, fun stuff, and I think that was a big start. But also, as I grew older, I really loved Leonardo da Vinci. He was very technical, and so like the part of me that does very technical stuff loves that. But a lot of my influences more recently have been like the Pre-Raphaelites, which was all these ladies with flowing hair, and that's kind of a big thing for me, and beautiful scenery and stuff like that. And some of the more recent pop surrealists like Tara McPherson and Camilla d'Errico and Audrey Kawasaki. And it's a lot of pretty girls, which is like girls with hair that's kind of crazy, is like one of my favorite things to do. So
well, yeah, you and I share that, where it's like that's a big inspiration. It's just something that I don't know why, it just makes you feel good, you know, like to create a little beauty on the surface and stuff like that. Well, and what's interesting is that I thought it was an interesting thing prior to this, because yes, we do prep, that you told me about the Pre-Raphaelite influence, and I thought how interesting that was, because they were a group that basically was rebelling against kind of staged subject matter and treatment and stuff like that. It was like, you know, and I was thinking how interesting that is, because, you know, they were a group that was working against something that looks fake for something that looks somewhat more like it could occur,
right,
you know, in nature or on a person.
Yes.
You know.
And more expressive.
Exactly. Yeah. And not this, you know.
Here I am with my ermine.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's like the 1800 versions of the bad high school yearbook picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of an interesting kind of connection between those kinds of things, and also the subjects. Still, they kind of translate into the other artists that you mentioned, you know, where it's a lot of female form, a lot of flowing whatever, you know. I find it interesting that you've got a lot of animals that have like really, really exaggerated organic form, and they almost take the place of the fabric and the flowers and all that kind of stuff. It subs in on a different level, but I was just like, oh, that's a very logical connection today. Like, I get what she's doing, you know, but you could definitely see how that connects for you. I know when I came to work at Cheap Joe's, you know, for a while there, it made it so I didn't work that much at home. Do you, you know, on my own, do you continuously work all the time, or does it come and go?
It comes and goes some. It was funny though, working at the comic book store, which was more like 30 hours a week, I didn't really do much at home. I didn't really paint or draw or do anything. When I started working here, it was like, oh my God, all this stuff and all these artists, and I can talk about art all day. And so I'd go home and I'd draw or I'd paint, or on my days off I would. And I was working 40 hours a week, and then still like had an art teacher once tell me, if you're going to do this and you're going to have a job to pay your bills, you're going to need to come home and work like it's a part-time job, like 20 hours a week. And I was so... But on and off I do that. So a lot of times I spend my weekends painting if I'm at home, you know, in between other things.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I've noticed that, like, I follow you on Instagram and stuff like this, and that there's a pretty steady flow of not just, like, oh, this is an idea I had, or, oh, look at this continuum in a sketchbook. These are, like, finished, you know, fully actualized pieces that are coming out like on a steady basis.
I work pretty fast when I'm not doing something I've been commissioned, which is terrible. When I'm just like painting whatever comes to me in the moment, or drawing, it's quick and it's easy, and then somebody wants something and I'm like, but what if it's not perfect? And I freeze up a little bit. So
I get that.
Yeah. Been a bit problematic, but I'm working through it.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Well, it's just the nature of performance anxiety and any kind of context, and I think because art's so cerebral, it makes it that much worse.
Yeah.
It's not like long jump.
Just prep and go.
Yeah, jump. Not to diss any of the long jumpers watching out there, but it is.
No, but it's straightforward.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah. Are you constantly taking commissions, or is that something that kind of...
It comes and goes, and I did actually a fundraiser because my little dog had to have surgery, and so that was about a year ago, and I've gotten a couple of them done, and I've just gotten to a place where I can get back into doing that because life. So I'm excited to get a lot of those finished because it's been weighing on me.
Well, and it makes it that much harder. You've got that pressure to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's fun. A lot of people were like, will you do a portrait of my dog? And I'm like, of course I'll do a portrait of your dog. Like, yay.
Yay.
So it's been fun.
We were talking about then being exposed to artists that come through on the workshop circuit. Is there one that you just were like, oh, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be? Or
it's interesting seeing the workshop instructors here because it varies with the class. I really enjoy the classes where the teacher comes in like Robert Burridge and everybody's just making stuff and it's all week and it's crazy. And I find a lot of excitement with that kind of thing because the students get excited and they're like, if it's people who come year after year after year, they're like, oh, let me show you what I did. And you go in there and like, it's really fun and exciting to see what people are doing. So
yeah. Well, and he's not a low energy dude.
No.
No, we were talking about how like when you come to Bob Burridge, it's going to change the way that you work. It's going to change your mindset, and you can't come in without a cup of coffee.
No, or 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, we're going to start. Everybody, let's go. So, was there anybody that you remember going, oh, well, that's not really my thing, blah, 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 and then being kind of surprised by them at all? Like,
I think there's some, like, watercolor is not my thing. And that's, like, our big thing, especially in the outlet. So a lot of these, like, watercolor portraits and florals and things like Ted Nuttall, you see him start something and it's like a very detailed drawing and his end product looks like it's like this loose, like just go with the flow kind of thing, but it's not. He's so technical and he's so like, no, this blob goes right here and this one goes here. And I think it's always really interesting to see when the process is so different than what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And it blows your mind like that.
Yeah, and you're just like, whoa.
What? Yeah.
Okay. That I was expecting this guy to be like, paint, and he's like, right there. That's where that drip goes. And it's a crazy thing.
Yeah. You kind of think you know the direction, and then you meet them and then watch them and you go, okay, that's not what I was thinking at all. But I think that's the benefit of being around, like being in this environment is that you get exposed to so many different approaches to essentially which same thing, making stuff on paper, canvas and stuff. So, I think it must be time for us to make some stuff. Yay! Yeah. So join us. We're going to reset and come back, and Amanda's going to show us a little bit about the kind of cool stuff she does, and I will
do great. She will do great.
I will try my best. So let's watch that and see what happens. Okay, enjoy.